All right, I guess we're live here. Good morning, everyone. All book lovers, storytellers, how are you watching us? Right now, we're live here at the Evans Gallery in Manhattan, New York. It's chilly, right, Kate? It's
Yes,
chilly
it is.
here in New York, and it's been amazing. But I know I'm excited, just like you are. When we get in, it's going to be warm, not just because of that we picked up the heat, perhaps, but really the people inside are amazing. We have a lot of authors on the first day of the book confab here in New York, said and excited to speak about their stories and what inspired them to becoming an author. And at the same time, we're very happy and glad that not only in New York, but we have invited audiences coming from different states as well who are here today to discuss, interpolate, really discuss and challenge our authors as well in terms of what really inspired them to writing the book. If you do have questions who are watching us live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, please let us know. Drop your questions so we can ask those questions to our authors today. And welcome again to the Book Confab Manhattan. Let your stories be heard. Now I'm gonna walk you through before anything else. So just a quick establishing shot perhaps of the venue. So this is the Upper Manhattan here in New York. It's quite chilly. It's around 10 in the morning here in New York. And we have here an invitation for everybody to get in. There's a lot of surprises inside. This is not only just for book lovers and booktroverts, but at the same time, anybody who is interested to listening to these amazing and inspiring authors talking about their work. Now, these are the amazing authors that we have for day one. We have Lady Haley down to Jaime Morales this afternoon. And then we also have authors for day two, starting with Amrita down to Dr. Manuel Howard. So are you guys excited to see what's inside? Are you excited, Kate, to see what's inside?
Yes, I am.
All right, welcome to the ReadersMagnet Book Confab. So this is the registration area. We have here the ReadersMagnet staff. Sherry, how are you today? Good morning.
Good, thank you. Hi.
Good morning. And we have the most recent one who just came in. We have Stephen Riddick who just came by. He'll be one of our authors. Welcome. Welcome. And this is the alley for the Walk of Fame of our authors today. Hello, everyone. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Say hi to all who's watching right now. These are some of our amazing authors who will be here today.
Yay.
Talking about their work. Okay, let's ask Carol, what are you looking forward to today?
Oh, I can't wait to hear all the stories that the authors are going to be sharing and more information about the books that they've written.
I know Amrita is scheduled tomorrow, but what is it exactly that you're expecting today also?
What is it I'm speaking today?
What are you expecting?
I'm expecting to learn a lot from amazing authors here. And I'm also expecting to listen to beautiful stories, which I can remember when I go back home.
How about you, Haley?
I'm enjoying meeting all of the other authors and learning not only about their stories, but how they got to writing their stories.
Perfect.
And Kylie-Ann?
I'm here to be impressed by all the young people because I could not have done this then. So, and to learn their stories and about what they write about.
Thank you so much. I know we just barged in, but we're just doing our establishing shot. Thank you so much. And we'll hear from you later. So these are some of the authors that we have on the Walk of Fame. So as you can see, we have Stephen Lloyd Slender, we have Stephen Quesado, we have Yvonne Gonstorff, and these are the amazing work of our authors as well. They have their books on display.
Yeah, I got it.
This is a good one, actually.
This is very good. Okay.
All right, so Kate, we are just going to a commercial break. We are going to be live and we're going to be listening to our first set of authors this morning. Again, please stay tuned. Watch us here at ReadersMagnet Book Confab live here at Evans Gallery in Manhattan, New York. I'll see you later.
soon. But I was going to ask if you want me to refer you like just to your articles for the Society and on the bookstore. It's much of an but I know you're really busy, so I don't know. And you can only $5 a week if you want to do it. But it's I'll talk to you because I can't like send you the referral like I normally do because they're on the company. But there is a Discord. I guess I shouldn't assume, but like.
Oh yeah, no,
Good morning, Manhattan. Good morning. Woo! I want to hear you. Good morning. Good morning, New York. It's an amazing experience again. We're back here in Manhattan. This is where it's the birthplace of ReadersMagnet Book Confab. It started sometime in October of 2022 in Tribeca, and we're very happy. This means to say this has been a successful journey of ReadersMagnet Book Confab since we started in Tribeca. Then we flew into San Francisco, then we did it in San Diego, now we're back in Manhattan. Thank you so much for being here, and good morning, everybody! Woo! Are you all excited?
yeah.
I am too. I'm very excited to be hearing the stories of all these inspiring authors, from Lady down to the last speaker of today. We have, I think it's Jaime Morales, and there's been a lot of authors again scheduled for tomorrow. This is going to be a busy weekend for everybody. All booktroverts are here, listening and gathering, expecting not just one thing, but a lot of things from our authors, and that's to get educated, get informed, and get inspired. Right?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. I know it's quite chilly outside, but I hope you guys the exchanges that we have here will keep us warm together all day long. So again, are you guys excited? Again, thank you so much, Manhattan, and to give us a formal welcome, let's give it up for the Vice President of Readers Magnet, John Paul Levinas.
All right. So it's not yet Sunday, but I feel like I'm going to preach today. It's very heartwarming, right? That I see familiar faces from San Diego, from San Francisco, and also here from New York. So yes, it's been a year and a couple of weeks since the last confab here in New York City, and I am elated, honored, and blessed to have everyone here, everyone that's watching at home, everyone that is watching this, I don't know, probably tomorrow or the following week. Hello, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone. So I really want to welcome you to this one-of-a-kind event, right? And Readers Magnet really prides themselves in coming up with ways, means, and even strategies that make sure that we stay true to what we believe in, which is we share your stories with the world, okay? And as this travels around the world, the book events of Readers Magnet make sure that our independent authors and our great authors are also heard, right? And this is a great venue to network because yes, we're not yet we're not yet in the league, or we're not yet, how would I put it? We're not yet there with the traditional publisher authors, but guess what, right? Everyone starts somewhere, right? And whether we were really great at our field, whether we were, the best in what we did prior to writing a book, we have to start somewhere as an author. And again, blessed, honored, and elated that we are part of your journey. And today is another milestone of your journey as authors, as book enthusiasts and booktroverts, as Dodge would put it. And we make sure that we support each other. So, are we ready, New York City? Yes! You know what? I don't know if, I think we need more sugar, and there's more sugar in the back, right? Because again, we have to support each other. There's literally a million books launched every year. And if we do not have a pool of authors that support one another, then we can just easily drown each other, we could just easily drown from an ocean of new books coming in, with all due respect to the other authors. But are we ready, New York? Yeah! Okay. So thank you very much. Let's have fun. There's food, there's wine, there's coffee. The toilet is there. There is also everyone that's wearing red with the Reader's Magnet logo is your best friend today and tomorrow. Okay, so from the Walgreens, that's just 0.1 miles. If you need anything, just let us know so that we can be there to assist you. So thank you very much, and have a great weekend, everyone. Woo!
Thank you so much. Again, round of applause, please, to our Vice President, Mr. John Paul Levinas. Wow, what an amazing journey. It's nice to see familiar faces. The first time I met Barol, hi, how are you? I was also a pioneer of the ReadersMagnet Book Confab last time in Tribeca, and it's nice to see him again. We're supposed to hang out with him in Frankfurt, Germany, the last time, but we'll definitely do that, probably in 2024. But we're very happy to see you again. I believe your wife is here too. She's right there. Hello, ma'am.
But we brought his book there.
Exactly. Burrell's book went to Frankfurt, Germany, and I know Burrell is from Germany. We'll definitely do that next time. Another pioneer of Reader's Magnet Book Confab, I think, is Bob. We have Robert William right here. Hello, how are you? And shout out as well to Nathan, his son. If you can see wonderful paintings on the wall. We have presented Robert Nathan Williams' paintings. So I hope we'll see him later. He's coming here with his friends and family to support. I think any other familiar faces from Reader's Magnet Book Confab. We'll have Edward Lipinski later on. He's definitely one of a kind as well. And he has been an amazing author. He has written Werewolf in Madison Avenue, I think that was last year, but then 3 more books thereafter. So he'll be presenting 4 books and has been with us for a year now at Reader's Magnet. Also, we have from San Diego, we have Carol Langford. We have,
Well, I was in San Diego.
yes, from Brooklyn. But we met her first in San Diego Book Fair. Then we have Stephen Reddick, who did an amazing spoken poetry, and he'll do the same today, definitely. Yes. And I just spoke to him a few minutes ago, and he said he's been rehearsing for how many hours now? 4 hours. He has rehearsed 4 hours, and he's been an amazing speaker as well. So I know you guys are very excited to listen to our first speaker. Are you? Woo! Okay, we have invited guests as well. We have Alistair, we have Oliver. There's 2 Ollies here, by the way, so just probably call them Sir and the other one. And then we have Hannah. And then I definitely know there's going to be a lot more from the Academe in New York, perhaps like 4 to 10 people, and they'll be here with us today. Carol Langford promised a lot of audience later this afternoon too?
Yes.
I know, so probably we're going to be jam-packed. And we might have to move things around to just sit people here and fit everyone here. But don't worry, we have wine at the back. I believe we'll have coffee later on. I think we have everyone's favorite chocolate chip cookies at the back. We have churros. We have a cinnamon roll. If I'm not mistaken, we have some chips and peanuts. So help yourself, get comfortable. Let me know if the temperature is a little too hot. We do have a rack as well at the back, so you definitely can leave your stuff there. You can leave your bags there so you're going to be more comfortable. Take out your business cards, take out your postcards, take out all the marketing materials and share it around later on during lunch break for you to network and have breaks as well. And we'll give some of our invited authors here not on the program to speak about their work as well. Fair enough? All right, I guess excited to hear our first author today?
Yeah.
All right, our first speaker is a wife, a mother, a sister, a friend, a survivor, and most recently, an author. She received a cancer diagnosis and began her fight in January of 2019, and she has bravely endured 4 separate regimes of chemotherapy, 2 stem cell transplants, and 3 occasions to regrow her hair. So technically, nothing has worked, but she still is alive to brawl 4 years later, and her health saga is ongoing. To tell us more about her inspiring story, The Spiraling Road, let's hear it from the author, Lady Haley Reggio Pedersen. A round of applause.
Who else here is nervous? Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you. Here we go. I always have a problem with the microphone. Hello everyone, and thank you Reader's Magnet for this opportunity to share my story with all of these fabulous folks that you've brought together. I want to start today with a little audience participation. Just call out your answer. 1 in how many people will develop cancer at some point in their lives?
4,
10.
5.
2.
Oh.
1 in 2 people. The National Health Service in the UK states that 1 in 2 people will develop some form of cancer at some point in our lives. The American Cancer Society would not give an answer, but that's a story for another book. I stand before you with great humility and a deep sense of purpose as I introduce you my story, The Spiraling Road, a biography of cancer diagnosis, failed treatments, and finding peace. This is not just a book. It is my story of resilience, hope, and ultimately finding inner peace in the face of life's most daunting challenge, my own mortality. It is a short walk through my brain during the hardest point of my life thus far, and I've been through some pretty hard stuff. Every one of us at some point in our lives will face adversity, be it in the form of personal struggles, health challenges, or unexpected setbacks. It is during these times that we search for inspiration, for stories that show us the way forward and provide us with the courage to face our own trials. I pray that The Spiraling Road is a story that does just that. This biography chronicles my own personal health battle with cancer, a diagnosis that shook me to my core. It is a journey through the labyrinth world of medical treatments, the ups and the downs, the moments of hope and despair. But it's also a story of resilience, determination, and the enduring human spirit. One of my greatest tools during this chapter of my life has been humor. When folks would ask me how they could help me, I asked them to send me the funniest memes they could find on the internet. Laughter is the best medicine. As a cancer patient, I am allowed to poke fun of myself and at cancer. With that in mind, I found a few cancer jokes that I would like to share with you. Don't be afraid to laugh. I won't tell anyone. What do you call a fish looking for cancer treatment? Finding chemo. Doctor, I've got very bad news. You've got cancer and Alzheimer's. The patient says, well, at least I don't have cancer. Guess that was a slow burn. Okay.
Yeah.
My mom's star sign was Cancer. It's pretty ironic how she died. She was eaten by a massive crab. I wrote this book in 1 week. Once God gave me the idea, I couldn't stop until it was finished. One night I was lying in bed and the thought just popped into my head to share my story with the world. I am so grateful for all of the blessings that I have been given, and I have no doubt that this book is another blessing. I bare my soul, my quirky brain, and my innermost thoughts, praying that it will help others. At the time of my diagnosis, I was 36 years old. I had been a single mother for 8 years and had been building my social media marketing business, The Social Media Lady, for 5 years. We had finally reached the point where I was making enough money to be comfortable. I wasn't robbing Peter to pay Paul anymore, and I was at home for my boys when they came home from school, which was the whole reason I started the business. The diagnosis of cancer in a family member often leads to a wide range of emotions, including fear, anxiety, sadness, and uncertainty. And my family was no different. My family members experienced grief at the prospect of losing me and the significant changes in our family dynamics, as well as our future plans. The stress multiplied because I was the primary caregiver, and before I remarried my husband, I was the primary financial provider. My children were young, aged 12 and 9, so they struggled to understand the situation and their emotions. I'm sure they felt neglected as the focus shifted to caring for me, as well as trying to understand their own feelings of guilt, anger, and confusion. The treatment was expensive, causing a huge financial burden. Even with health insurance, the cost of the treatments, medications, travel to medical facilities, and the loss of income really strained our family's finances. We are still making payments. And of course, this financial stress led to additional emotional stress, which is contradictory to healing. My entire family shouldered the physical demands of caring for me, including my children. All extracurricular activities just stopped. My parents and extended family were already running all over the place to help me. I couldn't ask them to do more so that my boys could be on a sports team. We all experienced social isolation as our world narrowed to focus on my treatment and care. The effects of cancer diagnosis on a family can be long-lasting. Although I have not received a remission status, my family and I have experienced a renewed appreciation for life and for each other. However, the fear of death and recurrence lingers on. This book begins with the earth-shattering moment of my diagnosis. Cancer is a word that carries with it fear, uncertainty, and a sense of helplessness. In The Spiraling Road, I take you through the raw emotions, the questions, and the fear that engulfed me when I first heard those words from my doctor. It's a relatable experience that many of us have faced or will face. Remember, 1 and 2. And it was crucial for me to confront these feelings head on. I continue to detail my encounters with numerous tests and treatments, the failure of those treatments, the highs of hope and the lows of disappointment. Cancer treatment, recovery, and ongoing monitoring is a roller coaster. filled with setbacks and unforeseen complications. According to the last oncologist, the inside of my abdominal cavity is covered in numerous minuscule lesions of the yolk sac or germ cell tumors of a third recurrence. And yet here I am, 14 months after the second stem cell transplant failed. I feel better than I have in a very long time. By sharing my experiences, I hope to shed light on the importance of faith, positivity, perseverance, and the strength it takes to keep fighting, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you. Throughout my journey, I was fortunate to have a network of friends, family, and healthcare professionals who stood by my side. The Spiraling Road emphasizes the importance of a support system during tough times and its incredible impact on one's recovery and mental well-being. After my first treatment was completed in April 2019, I have focused on living life to the fullest. It's been a time of reevaluating what's truly important to me, pursuing my passions, and deepening my connections with family and friends. This has continued through the additional 3 rounds of treatment I received after 2019. I have found that my outlook on life has dramatically changed. I returned to my Catholic faith after the first treatment failed in 2019. I have a deeper appreciation for each day and a desire to make my life more meaningful. I have worked on creating a legacy to leave behind when I do go home. I have set fresh goals, revisited old hobbies, and tried things I'd always put off, like writing a book. Travel has become a very significant part of my life now. I seize every opportunity to explore new places, immerse myself in different cultures, and create memories with my family that I'll cherish forever. Whether it's a dream vacation, like a cruise to Alaska, to promote my book, or discovering hidden gems in my own region, adventuring has been a liberating and joyous experience for me. I've come to value time with my family more than ever. I'm keen to make up for the moments we lost during my treatment and to build new memories. Our activities range from simple family gatherings on holidays or Sunday lunch after church to exciting vacations. These moments are not just about fun. They're about strengthening our bonds and showing gratitude for unwavering support during my toughest times. Post-treatment, I have been actively engaging in hobbies and passions that I previously sidelined. Whether it's painting, writing, or learning something new, these activities bring me immense joy and serve as a creative outlet for expressing myself and processing my journey with cancer. Now more than ever, I'm focused on my health and well-being. I've adopted much healthier lifestyle choices, including better nutrition and regular exercise. I've also incorporated stress-reducing practices like prayer and yoga into my routine. Rebuilding my social connections and being involved in my church and community have been vital for my emotional well-being. I enjoy the sense of belonging that comes from interacting with friends and participating in church activities. Reflecting on my cancer journey has been a powerful aspect of my recovery. Sharing my story through this book, the coloring books that I created, and conversations have not only helped me process my experiences, but also, I hope, has inspired others. This reflection has led to significant personal growth and a deeper understanding of my inner strength and resilience. I pray that every cancer patient can have the same experience as for the horrors of treatment. As I invite you to embark on this journey with me through the pages of The Spiraling Road, I hope you can discover a profound sense of inspiration and a renewed belief in the strength of human spirit. This biography is not just my story. It is a story for all of us who have faced adversity and emerged stronger on the other side. How much time do I have left?
Good.
Okay, so I'm going to read a quick excerpt from the book and then do a little question and answer. But first, another few jokes because laughter is healing and I still need healing. So yesterday, my wife told me that she has breast cancer. Honey, she said, there's a couple of things I need to get off my chest. The Testicular Cancer Society called me and said, did you get our email? I said, no. They said, then you better check your junk. So, Chapter 2, Unveiling the Unexpected. In September 2018, Life seemed to be sailing smoothly for me. During my annual visit to the OBGYN, we discussed and decided to tie my tubes. At 36, single, a mother of two, and focused on supporting us financially, emotionally, and physically, the last thing I wanted to do was start all over at the beginning. Following the state law, which required a 30-day waiting period, I underwent surgery in early November. It was meant to be a straightforward procedure, a step towards securing my future on my own terms. Little did I know that this seemingly routine appointment would thrust into an unforeseen and life-altering journey. During the surgery, the doctors made a startling discovery. Nestled beneath my uterus was a tumor of substantial size, resembling a cantaloupe. Its iridescent hue and liquid-filled center raised concerns, but the doctors remained cautiously optimistic due to its shape and color. They took a biopsy, anticipating benign results. I recovered from the tubal ligation in the weeks that followed and returned to my everyday life. 8 weeks post-surgery, all seemed well except for one pending test. The doctors assured me it was likely benign. I clung to that hope, eager to put this chapter behind me. But hope can be fleeting. The next day, as the weekend of the new year approached, a voicemail awaited me at home. The urgency in the doctor's voice sent a shiver down my spine. They requested my presence at the office on Monday, but no appointment was necessary. Instead, a summons hinted at grave news. Turning my world upside down, fearful and desperate for support, I reached out to my 23-year-old niece, Chloe, and asked her to accompany me to the appointment. We entered the doctor's office together and prepared for the worst, but clinging to a fragile hope of optimism. In that office, time stood still. The doctor delivered a devastating blow. The final test revealed that the tumor was malignant. The cancer had invaded my body, leaving me in shock and disbelief. The words echoed in my ears, and my mind struggled to process the weight of this revelation. I grasped onto the fragments of the conversation, but the details eluded me. It was Chloe who became my lifeline, recounting the information that my mind struggled to retain. Amid the turmoil, my instinctual response emerged: humor. Making jokes about being a cancer patient became a defense mechanism, a coping strategy in the face of unimaginable trauma. It was a realization that laughter, no matter how bittersweet, offered a brief respite from the overwhelming darkness that had engulfed my world. The rare form of cancer I was diagnosed with was a germ cell tumor, also known as a yolk sac tumor, typically found in testicular cancer in men or infants and toddlers in women. It was a rarity for someone of my age and gender. Nevertheless, my doctor wasted no time in referring me to the only gynecological oncologist in town, a specialist who would guide me through the treacherous path ahead. Once Chloe drove us home, we took on the daunting task of breaking the news to my loved ones. My Aunt Darlene and my dear friend Winona, who worked for me then, were the first to know, followed swiftly by my parents. With Chloe steadfastly by my side, we summoned the strength to recount the story, sharing the burden of this devastating revelation. As we sank under the weight of this truth, the gravity of the situation demanded an outlet for the overwhelming emotions that surged within. I drank myself stupid with 2 bottles of chocolate wine and a chain of cigarettes. My Aunt Darlene selflessly took charge, ensuring that my boys and I were cared for, fed, bathed, and tucked into bed. In that dark and heavy evening, marked by tears, uncertainty, and the bitter taste of reality, I surveyed the magnitude of the battle before me. The journey to confront the cancer had just begun, and the strength of my tribe would be tested like never before. But in the depths of despair, I held on to a flicker of hope, determined to fight and emerge stronger on the other side. Thank you for the opportunity to share the spiraling road with all of you. Before I open it up to questions, I'd like to answer some of my most frequently asked questions. Number 1, how are you doing now? Well, how do I look? Good.
Yeah.
I will lead by saying that I feel better than I have in a very long time. The last oncologist I saw was this past August at MD Anderson in Houston. It was my stem cell transplant doctor. He told me that the treatment had failed and that he was sorry. He then referred me back to the gynecological oncologist, who just happened to be moving to another campus. I am getting a monthly email from the hospital asking about my pain and my ability to perform my normal daily functions. Since I started a raw diet at the end of August, eating 95% raw fruit and vegetables, I feel great and I'm able to perform all of my daily functions and do more.
Nice.
The second question I get most often is, what kind of cancer do I have? It is called yolk sac or germ cell tumor. It is most commonly seen in prostate cancer in men or in very young girls around the age of 2. It is labeled as aggressive and very fast growing. The third is, what stage is it? So technically it is stage 1C, third recurrence. They do not restage cancer. When I saw the doctor in Colorado, I asked her what it would be staged at had they staged it that day. Her answer was stage 4. There is no stage 5. That was 2.5 years ago. Okay, so now I will open the floor to any questions. Yes, ma'am.
So,
Hannah, right?
yes.
Okay.
So I know you went over this a little bit, but can you talk about what was going through your mind when you made the decision to take that step to write this book?
So it was really that so many people had been asking my story, and because it is such a rare type of cancer in people my age, that I decided, well, like I said, I was laying in bed one night and it popped into my head, and it was like, share your story with the world. And I honestly didn't sleep much for the next week because I just had to get it out as quickly as I could.
Do you think part of why the treatments failed is because it's such a rare sport, like your body's, or I don't know, what does the treatment look like normally for like the young girls?
So the funny thing is during when I was first diagnosed and started treatment, the one thing the doctor said to me was, "You're lucky, you have a curable cancer." So I went through the standard treatment for germ cell tumors, and it took about a year for it to start coming back. And I'm very blessed that during that year, my husband and I decided to travel the country in our RV. We went all the way up to Niagara Falls and then all the way over to Colorado and back. So it was just really, really important to me that even though I was facing this unfaceable thing, that I spend what time I knew I had enjoying it and building new memories with my kids. Yes, ma'am.
It seems like humor and hope are both really important to you, so I was wondering if you could talk about like the relationship between them or how that's in your book.
Well, humor is very, very important to me. I've always used humor as a defense mechanism. Whenever I'm a very social person, and I have always found that humor helps a lot with that. So I've tried to remember jokes and things to start conversations with people. What was the second part of your question?
The relationship between like humor and hope that's in your book.
So I find that humor, it lightens people's moods, and cancer is such a heavy, heavy subject that humor opens the door, and then it gives you the opportunity to then speak about hope and the ways that you find hope and use it. Anybody else? Good, because it's hot up here. Yes, ma'am.
Lady Haley, I'm curious, how would you say you're a different person now than prior to cancer? How has it been different?
Okay, so before I wrote the book and before cancer, I had actually fallen away from my faith in a huge way. And there is nothing like a cancer diagnosis to bring you back to faith because you're trying to get into heaven. So that was probably the most dramatic change in my life, but it has also made me really, really focus on being in the present and enjoying the time that you have with the people that you choose to spend it with. Yes, ma'am.
So I was wondering, how did people in your life react to your book or feel about like the different things they read about?
Well, to be honest, that my parents have not read it. I don't know why, but they don't. So I think it's because they lived through it. So they're not interested in going back through that journey again. But my extended family members that were not with me every single day, everyone says that they cry. But they found it very, very inspiring. And I'm very blessed that right after I published it, a lady from the Netherlands who had the same type of cancer in our age group read it and contacted me through Instagram, and she just thanked me so much for writing it so that she didn't feel like she was alone.
Is there anything that came out in the process of you like writing this book about your own story that surprised you in any way?
Probably not. I'm a very open person. My life is an open book. I've always been that way, especially with having a digital marketing agency for the last 10 years. I've lived the last 10 years on Facebook. So, and I try to live my life in a way that I would never be upset finding something on Facebook from 10 years ago. Like, I try to make that decision when I not only when I put it on Facebook, but also when I do anything, that will I still be okay with this 10 years from now?
Where can we find your book?
On Amazon. Or you can go to pedtrek.com. Ped, like my first three letters of my last name, and then Trek. I actually started that website when we started traveling around the country in our RV. We had to stop because of the cancer coming back, but so pedtrek.com is the website, and it's got links to all of it, including the coloring books that I created because of when I was going through treatment. Coloring was such a huge thing for me. It was not only exercise for my fingers and helped with maintain my dexterity, but also just hope. Excellent. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Once again, a round of applause, please, for Lady Haley Patterson. It's such an inspiring story, and what I love about the book, and I think everyone can relate to it, is that it may not necessarily be us, but probably anybody in our lives, anybody in loved ones that we have experienced it, and having to share that book definitely would help them probably get through it, and like the fact that there should be humor in everything that we do, and I think that would be the best cure as well, right? Again, thank you so much, Lady Haley Patterson, for such an amazing work. We are live right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So Lady Haley can definitely get back to that, to our page. Just search Reader's Magnet on Facebook, everybody, and search it. Share it to your profile so your friends and families can watch it while you guys are listening to our amazing authors. And to our dear authors, in which questions that probably our viewers right now all around the world have asked you on live stream, but we failed to ask you here at the physical event. Definitely you can get back to that and then answer those questions directly using your phones, okay? Again, we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Share Reader's Magnet. You'll have to search for Reader's Magnet, and then you'll find that link that's live right now and share it to your page, okay? You can do Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. All right, so everybody's watching us live right now. Again, this, like I said, it's morning here, but definitely probably the other side of the world, it's nighttime, but they're still watching, and that's what's nice about this event. All right, so without further ado, I know you guys are excited as well to listen to our next speaker. We're gonna jump from an inspiring book to another inspiring book, but I believe just looking at the book cover itself, it seems like it's for a children's book, but I definitely agree it's gonna be for everyone, right? So our next speaker was born in a small town in South Dakota, and she acquired her love for animals and water while living in a town between two small lakes with a creek in her backyard. As a small child, she loved going to her town's library with a lush grassy lawn surrounding the building with all the beautiful books. Our author has acquired a master's in education degree, and she wrote a paper on children, authors, and illustrators. And in doing this research and writing, she developed a 5-step program in which teachers could take their students on a journey of developing a picture book, including an author's at the end to celebrate each child's unique individual story. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the author of Philomena, Ms. Dawn Anderson. A round of applause.
Hello. It's really exciting to be around people who love books, love words, love the written word, spoken word. That is really exciting to me. I've never been at a book convention before, so this is exciting. As I get started, I just want to do a little activity. And since I know you guys all love books and love words, you are going to be so willing to share with each other, correct? So the activity includes, I want you to turn to someone, and I want you to think about your a memorial, a character that has such an impact on you from a book. Maybe a character you've created, or a character that impacted you as you were reading the book. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes to turn to someone you sit by and share that character from a book and tell them why this character had an impact on your life. So go ahead and do that for just a few minutes.
So do you want to go first?
Sure.
That was really cool.
Yes. My favorite book series, probably because I grew up reading, was probably the Verdane Chronicles by Lloyd Alexander. So Disney made a movie of the second book, which was in black and white, which was weird. It did very poorly, but it's nothing like the book. But I think a character that I really liked with that was, I think the main character is really interesting because the whole journey he goes on, the whole point of the story is that he's not completely special. He isn't royalty. He wasn't a chosen one in any way. But, you know, he has to learn to accept that titles are everything, and that the people around him don't care as much about that as he does.
Well, no, we wrote a book, we wrote a spiritual book.
I had a teacher
like
once
common
who,
sense understanding
when
of the
people
scriptures.
volunteered
But if you're asking me about characters from books, I see you're a teacher.
I love the Bible, and I love all the characters.
Sherlock Holmes. Well, no, you're actually John Watson.
I just reread since the first time I
was
read
like, oh, that
Fahrenheit 451. And actually do like the main character of that because he was willing to stand up for, like when he said, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't be burning books and doing all this. But he went against like everybody, his job, his wife, and everybody, and said, no, this is important. And those are the important people that even if they're the only one, like in the world, they know what makes sense. So I really like that character. And there's others, like Lenny from Mice and Men, and Charlie Gordon from Flower Crowd,
And then end up in opposite places.
Right.
A little paperclip.
Okay, as I've heard you guys talking, I can hear many characters have had an impact. And as we go through society now with so much visual, we see from movies, everything, our whole society is kind of influenced by characters that have an impact. So as a child, the character had a powerful impact on me, and I was at a very young age. It was a little girl from a very poor family who had just lost her mother. And this little girl stood up against many unkind bullying types of girls, expressing to them, even when she was poorly endowed, that she had 100 dresses that were colorful and pretty at home. Of course, in spite of their disbelief, she continued to stand her ground. And then growing up, I found that many of my life answers were in a book, and this story is one of them. It was called 100 Dresses by Eleanor Estes. I can still feel the wow factor when I read and saw the pictures at the end of the book of 100 dresses drawn on paper and taped on the side of this little girl's closet. It taught me empathy for those less fortunate than myself and the importance of standing up against unkindness. So this book Books had a huge impact, and even as a child, I struggled with reading, I struggled with words, but I loved books. I would sit in the library and just feel like, oh, this is like so beautiful, these books. And I didn't do a lot of writing except for research papers, you know, master's degree, BA, getting your bachelor's, all we did, research, correct? So my creative side was very weak, and I participated in the Greater Kansas City Writing Project, and I was really challenged to write. And it was with tears and much stress that I began to develop creativity in my writing. And I just really had a hard time thinking I could put words on paper. And I took a quote from Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh. He wrote it about drawing and painting, but I put writing in it. He said, if you hear a voice within you say you cannot write, well then by all means write, and that voice will be silenced. So I took that quote and encouraged my own heart with it. And one of the first assignments we were given was to write a paper on why do we write? So I wrote a poem, Why Do We Write? What drives us as humans to express with the written word? Are we driven by self-importance and the need to be heard? Is there a desire for immortality that moves us to write? Or is there just a need to vent and perhaps share our own plight? To entertain, to pique, to lighten the load? Excited we seek as our stories unfold. In the deepest places in a human soul, there is a need to be known, whatever is told. So motivated by my own thoughts, and after retiring from teaching for 42 years and being in a classroom, I had thoughts of my own mortality and the need inside of me to create something that would live long past when I'm gone. The desire to share with a child the experience of picking up a book and having that aha moment. Many of the ideas in my book reflect my childhood, but also reflects children that I had in the classroom and problems I saw them wrestle with and struggle with. I wanted any child from any background to be able to identify it with my main character, Philomena. Why I named her that, I'm not sure, but it's a hard name. Most people mispronounce it, but growing up, most people mispronounced my name. My name is Delan, but I get called Dellen, I get called many things. When I was little, I just answered to anything, you know, if they called it. So maybe that's why I gave her a difficult name. But anyway, Philomena, so my main character is Philomena, a little frog who her cod squalloped mine. And also in this book, I desired to reintroduce words that haven't been used for many years and they're kind of outdated. In fact, my cousin read my book and he laughed and laughed. He said, I haven't heard that word for ages. But I think words are so exciting and so expressive. One of my impactful characters is Papa Beaufort. The book begins with a very exciting morning as Philomena leaves for school in her lovely pond with a cheerful attitude and an outlook on her day. Many thoughts are swirling through her head. Here's part of page 15 of the book. It's Philomena speaking. My sharing all of this brings me to why I'm telling you my story. I struggle a lot with many feelings I have described to you. Hate, jealousy, envy, anger, sadness, inferiority, and loneliness. I try to solve my problems like Dad says I should do. I try to move on like Mom tells me to do, but sometimes I just don't know how or what to do with my discombobulated mind. I feel like I'm walking on tenterhooks all the time. Every day, school bamboozles me because of all the many things happening around me. But today is special because my class has earned a marble party. If our class is silent as a group in the hallway and another teacher or principal sees it and compliments us for being so quiet, then we earn 10 marbles for each compliment. Also, we get marbles for all the A's we've received on various test papers. In our marble party today, we are going to get to eat popcorn and play board games with our classmates. I'm so excited. I'm wearing my red new corduroy wraparound jumper with a delightful bow in my hair. And to quote my mom, I look loverly. So Philomena does a lot of self-talk as she goes on her day, which I wasn't even aware of it when I wrote the book, but my niece is a children's counselor, and she said, your book is so impactful because she self-talks through the whole book, which is exactly what children need to learn to do to get healing. And so that kind of was an added bonus. But she does a lot of talk through her rest of her day, and later coming home from school, she is continuing to self-talk. So I'm going to share some more pages with you. On page 25, as I'm hopping home from school with my pretty red ribbon, which is no longer a bow, in my backpack, and my red jumper covered with chocolate milk, tears begin to run down my face. What a terrible, calamitous day. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I just want to get back to my bedroom and cry. I hop home the back way through the pond. I don't want to see anybody. However, when she arrives at home, Papa is there, Papa Bulford. Finally arriving at my lily pad, I slam the front door with tears running down my face and head toward my bedroom. Then I hear Papa's wonderful voice. Philomena, would you like black cherry ice cream float? A smile begins to form on my teared face. Oh, Papa Bulford always knows what I like best. He makes the best ice cream floats ever. He puts black cherry ice cream in a large bowl and covers it with milk. I divert my hop quickly and quietly towards the kitchen pad. There in the middle of the kitchen island is a huge bowl with scrumptious black cherry ice cream with milk poured over the top just for me. Thanks, Papa. I give him a very big hug. The black cherry ice cream tastes so cold, creamy, and sweet. As I'm enjoying every bite of my treat, Papa asks, how was your day, Philomena? I really don't want to talk about it, so I don't answer. We sit in silence, and I can hear the kitchen clock ticking loudly on the wall. After many bites of my ice cream and very long silence, I begin to talk. My day was not so good because we had a fire drill instead of a marble party. Well, how did the fire drill make you feel, Philomena? It scared me. Did you understand that was just a practice drill? Oh, yes, but pandemonium broke out and everyone went crazy and chocolate milk got spilled over my red jumper and they were crawling on the windows, hopping all over the place. Plus, on top of it all, we didn't even get to have our marble party. I burst into tears because I can't hold them back any longer. Grandpa turns to me and picks me up. I always feel so much better in his arms and on his lap. I sobbed for a few moments. Papa, my days are not going so well. I'm always feeling so discombobulated. I have so many crazy thoughts. I see Manny and his lime green friends. I feel so afraid. I see Maggie and her hot pink friends, and I feel so frumpy. I see Sheila and her light green friends, and I feel so dumb. I see Lacey and her blue friends, and I feel so alone. I see Sassy and her orange friends, and I feel like I can't do anything. As I'm sobbing, Papa continues to hold me tightly, rocking me back and forth and saying nothing. After a few minutes, Papa says, I have a wonderful idea. Let's take a walk in the park, little one. I want to show you something. Papa and I, hand in hand, hop from lily pad to lily pad to the park by the library, one of my favorite places. The sun is shining brightly, and in spite of how I'm feeling, it's a beautiful day. I hear the birds chirping and feeling the warm sun on my wet tears. See the colorful flowers in the park, Philomena? Asked Papa softly as he points to the rows and rows of flowers by the library pad. Oh yes, Papa, there are so many different colors. They are so flamboyant. Yes, Philomena, they are flamboyant. Do you know why we see the colors the way we do? I have to ponder on that question for a while. The master designer gives us light. The light bounces off everything, which makes us able to see color in everything. And when the light bounces off and hits our eyes, the designer made it so we can see the color of that item. So if you don't like the color, sometimes the problem is in your eyes, Philomena, not in the color of the item you are looking at. I just sit there staring at the beautiful colors and letting Papa's words sink into my heart. If you don't like the colors, the problem is in your eyes. As I sit and ponder over Papa's words, I hear the sprinklers turn on and Papa comments, look, Philomena, over there by the sprinklers. See how the light shimmers through each water droplet, forming beautiful small rainbows? Oh, wow, Papa, that's magnificent. The water droplets are like understanding, and the sun's light is like love. The love shines freely and shines through the droplets, providing us with understanding or insight into all the colors around us. But Papa, I don't think I understand. How can I have love when I see something I hate, or something that hurts me, or something I'm afraid of? I don't think I could ever have the light or have the power of understanding to see all the beauty you see in colors. You, Papa, are different than me. You are always loving others and are always understanding. Philomena, I choose and allow myself to believe in the light of love, which gives me the power of understanding. When I feel like hating, I look through the droplet of understanding and see the master designers of love. When I feel inferior, I look through the droplet of understanding and see the abilities he has given me. When I feel ugly, I look through the droplet of understanding and see the beauty he has created in me. When I feel afraid, I look through the droplet of understanding and see the protection the designer has provided for me, and I'm not afraid. This is the way the master designer wants things to be. He wants us to look at his world and see his love by seeing through the droplets of rain so he can give us the power of understanding. So then Papa pulls out a necklace that is kind of like a prism that reflects light. And she goes through the rest, her next day, a little bit different, thinking differently. And so as the story progresses, she has a paradigm shift in her thinking. And my hope for this book is that children will pick it up, a child will have that aha moment and be able to relate to that story. And with my closing remarks, I heard in the movie Saving Mr. Banks, Walt Disney said these words and they just spoke to my heart. He said, that's what we as storytellers do. We restore order with imagination. We instill hope again and again and again. So, do you have any questions?
How do you use your experience? How did you use your experience working with children to inform the kind of narrative you were going to tell in this book?
That's a good question. I think I wanted it to be told from a child's point of view. So that's why Philomena is the narrator of the whole story. And so a child can relate to another child. I tried very hard. One reason I went with frogs, which hopefully some of you got little frogs. I chose frogs in different colors because I didn't want any one ethnic group in the book. I wanted any child from any ethnic group to be able to pick up that book and relate to it. I didn't want to try to bring it into one group. Does that explain it?
What age range did you envision?
Well, actually, I thought second, third, but the feedback I've gotten, all the way from kindergarten to high school students and adults have liked the book. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it in different ways that I didn't even think about when I wrote the book. So actually the written is second, third grade, with a little challenging with some of the words I introduced. The children will have to learn those new words.
Could you share an example of a child who was transformed by a book in your experience?
Well, I did have the wonderful experience for like 17 years. I taught a course where I took the children through the process of writing a book. I read a book, oh, his name is escaping me right now, but it was called Written and Illustrated by, and Dave Melton was his name. And it showed me how to take children through the process of writing and developing a book. And this little boy in my third grade class, him and his 90-year-old grandfather wrote and illustrated a book about Hitler and about how his grandfather had gotten a Purple Heart. And they wrote this book and illustrated it. And I just know that that book probably has been cherished forever by that boy. I haven't talked to him for years, but I'm sure that's had a big impact on their whole family because I'm sure Grandpa's not there anymore. Anything else?
You said you're reintroducing some words that haven't been used in a long time. What's the favorite word that you've used in your book?
I think loverly is. And at first I thought loverly was a made-up word, but then no, it's not. It's a real word. And my girlfriend and I, we used to make up words a lot, and we used to have so much fun doing it in college. We were in college doing that. Loverly was one of them. We thought we had made it up. But then I recently found out it's not a made-up word.
So how do you decide? You said some of the words are sort of challenging words for the to
pronounce.
Yeah. So how did you decide what challenging words were appropriate for sort of the age group you were writing for?
That's a really good question. I just grabbed them and put them in there. I also, on the bottom of the pages, I have footnotes that show the pronunciation of the words and gives a definition, so they can learn what the word means and what it is.
Is that something you've seen done before, or was that like a new idea for you?
It was just an idea I had while I was writing the book. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was just, I like to play. My husband is really good with words, and my husband came with me, John. And Papa Bulford is kind of built around my husband. He walks in a lot of wisdom. And we play with words a lot. His vocabulary is unbelievable. He says it's because when he was young, he was always in trouble and had to copy pages out of the dictionary. And he remembered the words, I guess. So that's kind of how it was, yeah. Any other questions? I got some interesting feedback of things I hadn't thought of. That, like I've gotten feedback from people who are counselors with students, and they said this book is a great opener to get a child to talk and to just go through it. A small child, like a kindergarten student, you probably would have to take it in bite size because there's a lot of words in it. So you might do one page one night and another night. A second grader would sit down and read it. My grandson, who's a junior high, he read it and he said to his mom, he said, "Mom, that book's not just for kids, that's for everybody. Everybody deals with those problems." And a friend of mine who had read it went to a convention of some kind, a business convention. She said, "Your book had all the answers in it for this convention." I was just amazed. So, I mean, that's just one of those things as an author you don't expect to have happen. Any other questions? Well, go ahead, Gemma.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you had a favorite illustration or anything.
Oh, I started out, my illustrations were on colored pencils, and the picture content was the way I drew it. But I mean, when they got to the computer and we did it, it's like, these are a lot fancier than mine. So my favorite one, I think, is where Philomena and her friend Manny, she has all these friends. And I just liked their relationship and the way that they illustrated, kind of show the love between the frogs. At the very, I don't know if I should be a spoiler and give you the end of the book. Should I do that?
Spoiler.
I think by the end of the book, she carries this little necklace around the whole time, and then through every problem she faced the next day, she thought of Papa Bulford's words, and she would touch that necklace and rethink the idea. She would touch that necklace. And so then she realizes she has a total paradigm. Instead of saying, "I don't like it, I hate it, I don't like it, I don't hate it," by the end of the book, the last page says, "Grabbing for a cookie for Papa, too, I quickly hopped into his office. I love his office with stacks of books, papers everywhere, and Papa sitting in his humongous, overstuffed chair reading a book. Well, how was your day today, Philomena?" he asked, as I hand him a delicious chocolate chip cookie. "You were so right, Papa, about believing in the light, which gives me the power of understanding. All the colors of the world do make such an exciting world, my world. My day was very splendiferous, and I liked it a lot." So instead of saying she hated something, she ends with, "I liked it a lot." Okay, green frogs that we passed out, if you have a number on the bottom of your green frog, you get a free book.
Wow.
So look at the bottom if there's yep, you got one. So see me after we're done here and I'll give you a free book.
All right, once again, Delon Anderson. All right, you guys heard Delon. If you guys have a number at the bottom of your toy frog, that means to say you get a copy of Philomena. Again, a round of applause for Delon Anderson. Such an amazing story. Now, before we wrap the morning session and before we take our lunch break, we'll be listening again to another speaker. We'll be talking about her amazing book, Not So Little Things. But again, everybody who's watching us right now, please stay tuned. We're being watched all around the world. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. And I believe so far we have questions for Haley, and we have questions for Delon Anderson already in our live feed. So definitely, if you guys have a time, you can directly answer those questions in our live feed happening right now. Again, to the rest of you who are here, please stay tuned. Search Reader's Magnet, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and share it to your own profile so your friends' list on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube can watch it simultaneously. All right? All right, without further ado, let's listen to another speaker. She is the author of White Picket Fences and writes contemporary women's fiction that sinks its teeth into families' miscommunications, misperceptions, and the chaos they cause. Even in the name of love. And after over 25 years as a physical therapy assistant and fitness studio owner, Kyle's writing dream of being a Taylor Jenkins Reid version of Joan Didion is well on its way. She has received her certificate of creative writing from Emory University and is the founder of Embrace Your Muse Creative Writing Workshops. To talk about her book, Not So Little Things, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Kyle Ann Robertson. A round of applause.
Okay, my frog. Okay, I usually don't need microphones. And sometimes I speak real fast, so just slow me down if I need to get there. So let me get my stuff together here. My name's Kyle Ann Robertson. And I thank everybody for being here, and thanks for the invitation for all of us to be here. I'm a mother of 4, I'm a grandmother of 7, and I live in Southwest Florida with my husband, Tim, and my Bichonpoo, Mia. And if you go on my website, or my social media, I always have Mia Mindset Mondays, because I'm big on mindset, and my little dog helps me get the messages across all the time. So, over the past 27 years, I have been a physical therapy assistant, and I also taught modalities, kinesiology, and neurology on a college level, and I ran the resource center. And by running the resource center, it really got me into learning styles and how the brain works. I got really fascinated by how people started thinking, and then I started really looking into my family and seeing how they think. And so that really has always inspired my writing. I've always journaled. I've always written since my first poem was published when I was in 5th grade, and my mother was a nurse at a hospital. It was in their newsletter, so I was famous then. So I thought. But so I've always kept writing in my back pocket. I am big on journaling. I think all people should journal. I think women need to journal. I taught journaling classes a lot. Once again, I think it helps with mindset. And so you'll see a theme here. So in 2014, I found a bucket of all my writing, and I thought, I want to write a novel. I want everything I've learned, the way people operate just fascinate me. So I started writing short stories, and I started with a blog called If Corks Could Talk. So that tells you a lot about my family. So in the blogs, I would do little family vignettes, and because I noticed wine was always on the table, wine and a bottle of, spray and wash always came side by side on the table. And I started doing little family vignettes, and like when we bought a boat, my sisters christened it with a bottle of wine the day it got delivered, that kind of stuff. And so my family really started to embrace, and I started finding real joy in writing because other people were reading it. Because my journal was mine, and I realized other people were reading it. So I soon started to write Not So Little Things, which isn't here because it's the industry. It'll be here this week. It'll be here this week. So I started writing Not So Little Things in 2014. And in my writing group, somebody wanted to take, and we'll talk about Not So Little Things in a minute, but Tina is a miniaturist artist, okay? She builds replicas of historical rooms in miniature, which is an old hobby of mine. So when I was writing this little vignette, this little story, this backstory in Not So Little Things, one of the other authors said, oh, this would make a great children's series. And I was like, okay, you want to do a children's series? So we did a children's series. It's called Nissa the Woodland Fairy. There's 10 books and 3 workbooks. Found an illustrator on Facebook, and he illustrated both my books, White Picket Fence, which has the purple cover, and then Not So Little Things. I just was in Nashville recently, and he presented me with a oil painting of this cover, and I was so, this is his art. So in the meantime, oh my gosh, I lost my notes. You know, we did the children's books, but it still wasn't what I wanted to do. I really wanted to focus on writing a novel. So the biggest thing was I wanted to publish before I turned 60. That didn't happen. I worked at it, and I don't know how many of you all went through the trenches of querying for an agent, querying and taking that long route. Okay, it's a long route. I learned a lot. I got offers, and personalities didn't work out or whatever, however it worked out. But the biggest thing for me was that the deeper, and I hope I can say this here, but the deeper I got entrenched in the business of writing, the more daunting it became. And I was upset that these people in this industry was taking the joy out of writing for me. And I believe writing should be joyful. Why not? I mean, even if you're writing what Lady Haley wrote, it was joyful for her, I'm sure, even through the tears. There's just something, writing shouldn't be daunting. I'm not saying it's not easy. I mean, it's definitely not, easy. But it doesn't have to be as hard as I think some people make it out to be. So anyway, so this book got put on a shelf and in a drawer. And I wrote White Picket Fences. And what White Picket Fences is, let me get to my notes here. I will go off the tracks all the time. So White Picket Fences is a story about Julie Cahill's journey through loss, guilt, and self-discovery in the wake of her son's death. Julie Cahill is a military brat, and she's always wanted that white picket fence. I grew up as a Navy brat and traveled to the world up until about 3rd grade. And then luckily for me, I got to stay in Virginia Beach for the next 10 years, but my friends all moved back and forth. It made a huge impact on me, this transient kind of feeling. So I wanted to explore the transient feeling of the military personnel, and then the challenge of staying in the same place, because ultimately you will find out that Julie's white picket fence fenced her in. And if you have that transient heart, you have that transient heart. But after the death of her son, the book is not about the death of her son as much as it is about a year and a half later when she decides to move on and clear out his room. And that's the chapter you open up with. And of course, she has 2 twin daughters who are 16 who both see this, and the husband all see this action. They all take it differently. The husband thinks she's going to make him disappear, but the mother just can't live with another empty room, because as a transient child, and this is me, as you move from city to city, you lose siblings to colleges as they get older, and then they don't return. And that's what that room represented to that mother. It told her nobody was coming back. And that's what she couldn't live with. So then the trials and tribulation, I talk a lot about mothers and children and how we all have our own truths in each predicament. And it's amazing how different they can be in a family. And that's really what I explore in all my writing. I have 3 more novels coming, all completely unrelated. But it's fascinating to me that I pick into the family brain and the mother's brain and the children's brain. So when my children read White Picket Fences, I have 3 daughters and 1 son, and they all knew which part they belonged to. Even though it's not a biography, and nobody can tell me, I don't care what you write, I don't care if you write nonfiction, there's part of you in there. You've got stories. And that's part of the joy of reading and writing other people's, from writing your stories and reading other people's stories, you get a piece of them. It's awesome. So, now to talk about Not So Little Things. I did bring a section to read for you guys. Not So Little Things is along the same line of family miscommunication, although it's a completely different story, and it's got a few more twists and turns to it. But in Not So Little Things, Tina, who's the miniature artist, she lands this big client. At the same time, her mother, that she hasn't seen in 20 years, shows up with family secrets that must be told. She does have a diagnosis of lung cancer, which is something I went through with my mom, and could tell my mom's story in this story a little bit. In the story, Tina, you're brought up with the story, with your rules and the way you remember life, right? And those are your memories. Well, when somebody comes and drops a bomb on you and you find out everything you've believed your whole life isn't true, or your motivation for your life has changed because of something, then you have to just try to rediscover who you are. But do you really? That's the secret here. So I'm just going to read a little bit of Not So Little Things. In the split second the door was open, I locked eyes with the thin woman, her hair wrapped helmet-like in a scarf. Even with dark circles around her sunken eyes, the tube in her nose leading to the white box hanging off her shoulder, and the ridiculous-looking floral housecoat-type dress, I recognized Mary Jane Edwards instantly. Tina, come on, open up, she pounded with more strength than I thought possible. Is this any way to treat your mother? Go away, you're good at that, just go away, I said under my breath and leaned on the side door. The battle line was drawn. I refused to let the woman who abandoned me when I was 9 years old walk into my life as like no time had passed. Tina, I'm not leaving until we talk, Mary Jane said as she wiggled the door handle. You've got to be kidding me. Stretching and loosening my jaw, I backed away from her insistence. What on earth could she want from me after all this time? I stared at the door, shaking my head as if the action itself would send the woman away. Come on, Christina, we need to talk, she said with a crack in her voice as she wiggled the door handle, trying to force it open. With deep breaths in through my nose and then eased out through my mouth, I slowed my hammering heart, a technique I learned through years of therapy. But the long buried memory of being dropped off at Aunt Lily's house for an hour, only for it to turn into forever, ached all over again. You haven't had a word to say to me in over 20 years, and I certainly have nothing to say to you. And don't break my freaking door handle. I yanked the door open. Holding onto the door frame, Mary Jane took a step forward. Thank you. Squeezing my eyes to expel visions from the last time I saw her, I allowed one word to exit my mouth. Speak. I'm not going to talk to you in this hallway. She gripped the hanging white box as if using it for balance. May I come in, please? Still, the 9-year-old me refused to budge. Mary Jane took a breath. With her attempt at more words, she wheezed, which led to chesty coughing. I winced as this woman, who was practically a stranger, dug a tissue from her purse hanging off her arm. She hiked up the strap on her shoulder, swung the white box to the front of her hip, and adjusted a knob. After several inhales, she relaxed. Aunt Liddy would have been horrified had she seen me treat anyone like this, let alone my own mother. Truth be told, my behavior was appalling, even embarrassing. But what was I going to do? With my aunt's loving parenting, strategies from a knowledgeable therapist, and emotional support from my bestie, Nissa, I had painstakingly put in place a life that honored my late father, blocked out my estranged mother, and propelled me into an existence on my own, one I thoroughly enjoyed, and I ordered to all of us not to go down this rabbit hole. So that's that. And I love this story. Like I said, this is the story I started writing with, and it just took years to come out. So in the meantime, I've taken every class known to man in writing. There's a lot of great free stuff out there to learn about the craft and the business. And I love learning. I love learning. I'm one of those people that don't know what I don't know, and I need to know. And that never ends is a problem, especially as a writer, because you don't want to ever stop with the story, but you have to at some point. So as I was going through conferences and retreats and really wanting to sink my teeth into the industry, like I said before, I started getting deflated. Let me go back to my notes here so I know where I am. Uh-oh, that was me. Here we go. Hold on, I'm so sorry. All right, so a lot of the times I left those events frustrated yet inspired, defeated yet motivated. The speakers seemed to be like doom and gloom. They touted deflating numbers of how many people fail when they try to publish a book, how many people try to write a book and don't finish it, which was my first goal. Like, I was never going to publish. I just wanted to see if I could do it. But of course, once you do it, then you want to go to the next step. And then you say, oh, I'm only doing traditional publishing. When that's daunting after 3 or 4 years, you're like, I'll go to the next step. But that's okay. It's all good because it was all learning, and we all have to know how everything works. So one of the agents I talked to loved my writing. She actually presented White Picket Fence to an editor, a publisher, and she said they came back and they wanted me to put more diversity into my books. I get it. We're in that world now. I did it, and then I was told I did it not right because I didn't have the right to write that for that character. In fact, I talked about one lady's Asian genes. Now, mind you, I grew up in Asia until 3rd grade, and I talked about somebody's beautiful Asian genes. I got raked over the coals after I talked about the blind white woman with the Botox forehead, the bleached blonde hair, the puffed up lips. So I was very confused through all this. So in number 3, I'm getting it all straightened out. And I want to pass this message that somebody taught me. If you're born with it, don't touch it. People need to embrace who they are and how they are. And that has saved me in writing. So I hope everybody can take that into consideration, that we're all here, we're all the same people. What we look like doesn't matter. All right? We're people. And luckily for me, I get into the brain. So that's why I didn't realize I wasn't doing it. So I thought that little lesson I was going to share, because you're right. I can't help that I was born with an Italian nose and Irish skin, you know? So I loved that saying, and that helped me. It's helped me a lot with number 3, where I kept my Japanese friend, because I did live in Japan and Thailand for many years. And I love it, and it's been very successful. So I want to encourage people to go for diversity, to look for the sensitivity readers. I think it's important for everybody to go that route. So while I was going through all this, which diversity has been the main topic the last 3 years in all the conferences I've gone to, okay? And so that's how important it is. I think everybody needs to consider everybody. But even through this trip of diversity that I went through, I was fascinated as to how the mind works. So I started going back and teaching my journaling class. During my journal writing class, during that class, other things had come out, and there were other writers in there, and I had somebody call. I've also been, read tarot cards and oracle cards since 1980s. I'm fascinated by that because it's a head game. That's all it is. Tarot cards are a head game. Whatever they're telling you is already in your brain, okay? So you just need a quarterback to pull it out. So somebody called me, one of my writer friends called me and asked me to read my cards for her character. She was so stuck. and a new business has started. So now, because of that, I took all of my, the learning style stuff and everything that I had learned when I taught at the college level. And I'm so glad you guys are here. So everybody, but I'm glad I get to talk to these new young graduates here because I want you to keep the joy in writing. And so what I started doing was pulling cards for characters for my friends and myself. And what has developed, my wonderful illustrator has come out with, oh, I brought the wrong deck of cards. My own personal deck of cards, all right? And Embrace Your Muse. And part of White Picket Fence was done using the system. And what I talk about is really about the science of imagination. I think it's important. And Delon, when you said, oh, I had to find my creativity, we all have it. Where is she? There's she back there. We all have creativity, and this is what I teach as far as the science of creativity, and this is what I want to impart to everyone, is that we bust a lot of myths at the beginning, okay? We don't have to be starving artists. I call writer's block writer's bullocks. There's imposter sham. I mean, I can go on forever, because it's a mind game, all right? Don't let yourself be your own worst enemy, all right? So right now, we're going to do some ideation exercises, which I do in the course. I have a digital course and I do it live too. But what I want to do with you guys, So first of all, everybody close their eyes for 1 second. Okay? And I want you to imagine you're walking down the beach, any beach. All right? And the clouds are in the sky. And imagine what the sand feels like. What's the air smell like? Is somebody barbecuing? Okay. And all of a sudden, you see a cat coming towards you. And the cat gets to you, and it has a mermaid tail. I just saw eyebrows raised. All right? Okay, now just sit in your own silence for a second at the beach. Okay, you can open your eyes now. All right, so I just gave you 3 different ways to imagine. Okay, one was on your own. One was my cues, saying, what do you smell? And the other one was, it's called innovative, but it's imagining the cat. Now, is there anyone in here that could not do that? Could not see the picture in your, I was going to say, so I do talk about aphantasia too. Some people cannot picture that in their brain. Some people can picture their own beach, but then when I gave them the cues, they can't pull it up, okay? Some people can't even picture. So she just listened to my words as a list, okay? So she said, okay, a beach, the cat, the mermaid tail. And so it's in her brain. So all of the way we pick up things in the environment for our writing comes to us however our brains can perceive it. And we use 17 different parts of our brain on both sides. This is why I don't want you to go right-brained or left-brained on me. You have to use both sides to imagine. There's 8 different types of ways to imagine. Your brain can do it, and you can rewire your brain. So I just find writing is fascinating. Writing will keep your brain going forever, all right? And when I do Embrace the Muse, it's off of association. So if I threw a picture of I don't even want to say the word, but a rabbit or a bunny up there, all right? Everybody think of a 1 sentence that you would write in your current work in progress, which is the beauty of this. How many classes have you taken? And then you go and say, I don't know how to apply it to my writing. It's great there. So you can do it because what we have to do as adults is go 1 step further. All right? So now with your rabbit, give me 1 sentence. What did you think? Easter. Okay. What did you think?
I thought of Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit. I've gotten roadkill. I've gotten rabbit stew. But it depends on what your story is. But more importantly, it depends on how you're informed. all right? What your education is, what your experience is, what memories you choose to file away, and how fast your brain can get to them. Because mine are slow, you know? So anyway, I'm here to bring the joy of writing back to everybody and welcome you to, invite you to read Not So Little Things or White Picket Fences. I really find writing is the best thing I've ever done in my life, other than, I have to say, my children, my husband. They're making me. But, so I encourage everyone to keep the joy in your writing. Okay. So do you have any questions?
I am curious how you got into miniatures. I know you said it was an old hobby, but that it came back in.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I got into miniatures in 1983. I wanted to do a replica of my husband's parents owned a jewelry store, an old-timey jewelry store. So I bought a clock box and I replicated their diamond counter and the shelves behind it. And I just had fun. So then I ended up doing, actually, a bunch of these pictures with the launch, my miniature pictures of some of the miniatures. And then I did a doctor's office for an old, like 1920s doctor's office for my mother, who was the head of a hospital in Kentucky. And I did that for a gift. And then people started ordering them. And then when Nissa came out, my children's book under B.B. Walsh, I ended up doing, well, I had 190 lanterns from my daughter's wedding. So I turned them all into miniature things. And I had, you know, I did after school stuff with kids and brought the lanterns and we did them. And it just came into a pretty big business for like 6 or 7 years. And then I did fairy villages out in my town where the kids use their 12-foot, you know, like Iron Man and all in the fairy villages. And it just became fascinating because I got to learn a lot about the craft, but also there's a lot of art history involved in replicating maybe older things, and that fascinates me. I have Van Gogh is a big thing for me, and it was already mentioned once, and I have that saying in my book. And also sunflowers are huge for me, and the lady I sat next to has a sunflower on, and Van Gogh and sunflowers are in every one of my books because I find the art world and visual things that we all know just help bring us all closer together because we all know the same stuff. It's just how we use it. So, but that's where the miniatures came from. Anybody else? Yes.
You were talking about like including diversity in your books, and I was curious if you ever worked with I'm sorry, you might have to help me if I'm saying. I think they're called like diversity writers, where it's someone who like maybe is like from a marginalized community, and they partner with authors to like put more diversity in their books, so that you have. But you lived in Asia, so you had that experience.
Right.
Like you didn't.
Yes, actually, I'm part of Women's Fiction Writers Association, the best group going. All the resources in there. We have a wonderful diversity program, and we have sensitivity readers.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and so, yes, so we are allowed to turn in all of our writing to our sensitivity readers. There's a lot of resources on Women's Fiction Writing Association, and it's like $50 a year. It's a great group. There's many great groups out there, and I recommend joining a lot of them because there are a lot of people that like to share, and it brings them joy. It brings me joy to teach and to share. Not as much as writing, though. But I really love to write. That's like my meditation. So yes, and I highly recommend seeking out one if you don't have one in a group. But put the word of sensitivity readers, and they want to help you as much as you need their help. So,
thank you.
Yeah, go for it. You guys are writing. I'm going to talk to you soon. Anybody else? So if you like family drama, yes.
Oh, I was just gonna ask. So you talked a lot about bringing joy back into writing and things like that, and I think that's something that, from people I've talked to, a lot of writers struggle with, and a lot of people deal with. Do you think that there's something about writing that makes people fall into these sort of traps more often?
Yes, and I go over them a lot. I think the old school writing I don't know if that's the right way to put it or anything, but I just feel like it's an art. You know, it's, you know what I mean? Does that explain it? And we don't have to be starving artists. I mean, yeah, everybody makes money, but they're authors, I get that. But we don't have to be starving artists. We don't have to believe, I don't believe in imposter syndrome. I used to, and I used to think I had it, until somebody said, read the definition. And we go deep into this in my class because people need to understand it's all a mindset. Mindset develops character. Remember that. Mindset develops character. You want to be imposter syndrome, you will be. All right? So that's the thing. The definition of imposter syndrome, for all of us who have it, is feeling inadequate after a taste of success. Read any dictionary, and that part is in there, which means you can't have it unless you're somewhat successful. Therefore, you don't have it. You shouldn't have it. So if you really read the definition and you think you have it, then you've had some success. Because you can't feel bad if you're not somewhere to feel good. All right? So that's one little tip. But there's a lot of myths out there, and I think that's what brings the joy. And I do believe people went through daunting stuff before self-publishing came out. And it was daunting, and it was miserable. And then you're writing editors' books and not your own, and blah, 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 right? Now we don't have to do that. We can keep the joy in our writing. Okay, bye.
Another round of applause, please, for Kylan Robertson. Amazing story, an amazing writer, it's a lot of experience. I know you guys have several questions, and we're down to our break. So you definitely can go around and ask questions directly to our first speakers this morning. We have Kylan Robertson, we have Delon Anderson, and then we have Lady Haley Pedersen. So we have several authors coming up this afternoon as well after we take our lunch break. We have Stephen Offlander, and he'll be doing it virtually via his home. And then we have Edward Lipinski, who's definitely from New York. We have Margie Green Moss, Renee Cervello, Caroline Lanford. We have Stephen Casado, Stephen Riddick, Roger Akerley, and Jaime Morales. But in the meantime, please take your lunch. I believe you have a lot of food, goodies, and drinks at the back. Definitely go around, share your business cards, your postcards, and bookmarks for network, and increase your contacts as well. I appreciate everyone's attendance today, and I'll see you later at 1 in the afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.